Brilliant.
Hello, everyone. Hello, our family on Facebook and on YouTube. You are welcome today to our third meeting with this amazing, powerful Son of God, Ezekiel Emmanuel.
Yeah,
We are going to look at the part three of constructs, what constructs are. Those of you who were able to join us in the last two sessions, and just those of you who were able to see the sessions after we have done the live program, I'm sure you have had a lot of understanding of what constructs are and how we create by the constructs that come out of us through our words, through our acts, through our imagination. We are constructs and we also create constructs. And Ezekiel has taken us deep into this area, but he has more to share on this. Today he's alone. And Ezekiel, you are welcome to our program today.
yeah. Thank you so much, Auntie. God bless you.
God bless you too. I'm sure today we are going to be blessed as we have been in the
Yeah,
last three sessions. Today's session, after today, we are going to take a break for a few weeks and then prepare for the next thing you would want to teach about. And so for
yeah.
the people who are tracking with us, we are grateful. We thank you, and we encourage you to go back and listen, make notes, learn, and then next time when you come, you can come forward with your questions. So I will go straight to Ezekiel. What do you have? What are the downloads Father has for us today, Ezekiel?
Well, by God's grace, and mentioning some of them, for example, we're going to start with how to use the mental construct. Yes. And also, we'll talk about all that there is to know about the mind as a construct and also the other constructs that are meant to be constructed within this mental construct. How the mental
Okay.
construct is like a sanctuary slash vortex of constructs. How is basically just a construct that contains more than even 100 million constructs. And we even talk about ancient constructs. And when I talk about ancient constructs, I actually mean, these structures, ancient structures, for example, the ones in Egypt, what they were used for based on what God has revealed to me. And
Wow.
also, even
I
at
will
the
love that.
of Egypt, I'll talk about the
So are we
history of all those constructs.
okay? So shall we start with the ancient constructs then?
Actually, well, let's start with the ancient constructs. That's the next point. The first point is how to use the mental construct because you might be wondering, but the ancient constructs looks much more interesting. But the thing is that the mind is just as interesting as this other constructs. In fact, for these other
Okay.
constructs that look interesting to be created, they depend on the first construct that I'm talking about today, which is the mental construct.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these ancient
All
structures
right.
are
Okay.
patterns that
So
come to the structure of the mind. Yeah,
that from the structure of the mind. Okay. So we are going to start with the mental structure construct. Amazing. Thank you. I'll let you take it then. So what is a mental construct?
so the mental construct is the most powerful construct. Is an extremely powerful construct. It's a construct that every other construct that exists literally submits to its authority and influence and power. The mental construct is so powerful that it's also called the third force among the other universal forces. Even the most important forces in the entire universe, in our entire inter-universal reality, even our interdimensional reality. There are two main forces. There's the force of good, there's the force of evil, and then there's the third force. And even apart from the third force, there's a fourth force. There's a fourth force. But among these four forces across the entire reality, some of which have existed before everything was created, that some of these forces, there is one force that is extremely important, that its power overshadows even two constructs, two main forces among these forces. Yes, there's one force that
So we are
rules over this other force.
so we are not
There's
talking
one
about
force
only
that,
two. Okay, so we are no more talking about two forces, like for the force of good and positive and negative, or good and evil. There
yeah,
are two other forces in play here.
yeah,
Can we know who the other two forces
yeah,
are?
yeah. There's the force of the mind and there's the force of love. The force of love is a force that is more powerful than every other force, even the mind force. And the mind force submits to the love force. The love force created every other thing that every other force is in and operates in and also uses. And also, apart from the love force, which is the most powerful, the second most powerful is the mind force. The mind force is greater than good and evil. God is beyond good and evil. God is the greatest, and He's beyond good and evil. And that's why His nature is not even fully expressed in the form of good, what we can classify as good. God is beyond good and evil. So you cannot even classify God to generally to be good, nor even evil, because He's neither any of those things. He's actually love. Love is His 100% nature. His nature is expressed on a 1% scale in the force of good. So that means that good cannot even fully, nor even on a half scale, express the nature and personality of God and also the works of God. And also the acts of God, they are beyond good and evil. That's why as children of God, we're meant to understand some certain mysteries that are beyond good and evil. We're meant to, become like God in the sense that we have to evolve our mental nature, our characteristic nature to be according to the force of love and not according to the force of good nor evil. Because good and evil, they're always at war with each other. And
Wow.
there are times that good cannot fully
Wow.
defeat evil, and evil cannot fully defeat good. But the thing about love is that love is so powerful that evil cannot compete with it. That is why in every battle between evil and love always wins. In fact, it cannot even be classified fully as a battle because that is how powerful love is. And God is love. God is more love than even good. I know it might sound confusing, but it's actually the truth. God is beyond good and evil. One of the expressions of God's nature being love is how He can sacrifice His only Son. Logically, that is not something that is good. It cannot be expressed as good, and neither can it be expressed for evil. But it is something that is of the nature of love. With love, someone can sacrifice the most precious thing for something that he loves, even if it is an entity that it has to sacrifice. It's because of love, not necessarily because it was good. So that is it. So that is another topic of another day by God's grace, which is the divine nature of God, which is beyond good and evil, and also being like
Okay,
God.
so we know we are going to have a topic about the divine nature of God, but now we have
Yeah.
established that outside good and evil, there is love, which everything else came forth. Everything else came
Yes.
from love, and love cannot be
Yeah.
classified as good and evil because love stands on its own, is a power force of its
Yes.
own. But the
Yeah.
mind is equally as powerful as good and evil.
Yeah. In fact, the mind is more powerful than good and evil. And the truth is
Wow.
that even though the mind, the mental construct, the construct of the mind is that powerful, the thing about the mind is that there are lots of parts of the mind that is constantly being enslaved and not necessarily just enslaved, but also used by good and evil. Good and evil for infinite amount of time have been trying their best to fully capture the mind force because they know that the mind force is greater than their own force. So they need that higher amount of force in order to express their own will. That is something that both good and evil does in order to wage much more terrible war against each other. That's the thing. So the thing about the mind is that once you even know how to master the mind, you can be able to bend reality because reality is under the influence of the mind. The mind has more influence than whatever evil in this world, and even has much more effect on this reality than even the general concept of good. That is why when you make up your mind, it's more than just a mental decision. When you make up your mind to do something, it manipulates, in fact, your entire timeline. And not just your own timeline, it's the timeline of the human race. And this
Wow.
mental
So
decision is
if
more than
one
a mental
person,
decision.
if one person makes a mental decision or makes up their mind to do something, it affects the
Yeah.
timeline of the whole human race.
Yes. And not just of the human
Wow.
race, but of the universe. Because
Of the
everything about
universe.
development, yes, everything that have changed the course of history for the human beings all started with the simple mental decision or the so-called simple
Wow.
mental decision. It's not a mental decision. It is a construct that is created. And based on what I've said, constructs are extremely powerful. They express whatever thing that is in their components to be expressed. So if your own mental construct is backed by a certain evil force, all the fruits that you will get in your reality that are even indirectly from your mental construct will be evil. And also, if you have a mindset that is good, that is also in the will of God, then it's going to even control reality and make sure that every single thing in your life, there will be a greater expression of good than any other force. Yes, your mind can control the future. You can control tomorrow. You can control the tomorrow that is after tomorrow. You can even control next week. You can control even the past, not just the future. You can also control the present. That is why when you make up your mind, it's good. It's good to make up your mind. You're building a construct. Now, how to send that mental construct is by channeling your mind to that which you have made, the mental thing that you have made. When you channel your mind, your energy, it's more than something that you just do in prayer. It's an exercise that you have to do. You channel your mind to something. Now, how do you channel your mind? How you channel your mind is making sure that that thing in which you have made your decision on, it takes much part of your mind than any other thing. Yes, on a very, very, very uniquely high scale. Because when you even do that, it even changes the course of events that are meant to happen to you. Even when those events seem imminent, it changes for everything that seems imminent. And even has some health effects on your body. When you develop a much more positive mindset and you now channel your mental energy to that mindset. Yes. And also, the truth is that in life, it's not something that's very, very, very easy to do. To be able to make up your mind about something and also, channel your mind because of how reality is, especially in this planet. There are a lot of things that can distract somebody, and how to just do that
Yeah.
is by simply starting with making the decision. Because when you do that, your mind is extremely powerful. It's greater than the force of good and evil, meaning that it can control the influence of good in human beings' reality and also the force of evil in our reality. Do you know that if you have this kind of mindset that any problem that is against the trajectory that God has mapped out for your life will just be erased from existence at the time that you want it to be? Do you know that if your mindset is that strong about what I just said, do you know that all those problems, they will not even stay even longer than you already made up your mind that you're going to stay? And even if they do, that is still a test to your mind. It's a test that is trying to find out how strong your mind is truly made, your mindset is truly made. Because the thing about the mindset is that the mindset is like the gear, the driving gear of reality. Reality is the car, and now your mindset is the gears and that's a part of the controller. So when you
Your
put it
mind,
in reverse,
your mind, again, let's take that again. Your mindset is what?
the mindset is like the gear of a car, part of
Ah,
the
on
driving
a
components.
right,
And
right,
the car,
right.
yeah, yes. So just like how even the car is reality, that is how the gear of the car is your mindset. So when you put the gear in reverse, when you put your mindset in a reversal level, on a reversal sequence, on a reverse axis, in basic terminology, when you have the subconscious mindset that some specific things are not going to get better, or even not just things in general, but a specific part of your life is not going to get better. Or even you yourself, you're not going to get better in any scenario, situation that you find yourself. Even if it's not a situation that even manifested in the present, but something that is something that has potential to happen in the future. As far as you have the mindset that that thing is going to happen and there's nothing that can do to change it, or that you're not even going to get better, the opposite of that bad thing that has the potential to happen in the future, which is a good thing, will not happen. Then it will not happen. Everything is connected to your mind. How you perceive reality to a certain extent controls how reality presents itself to you. So if you evolve a perspective, other parts of reality that you have never experienced will come your way. That's why the mental construct is extremely powerful. Lots of people, because they have discovered this thing about the mind, even in the ancient times, they even made the mistake of worshiping the mind. Just like how we
They
worship God.
worship
A lot of people, even in the past, they worship the mind because they saw its power, and its power was so overwhelming. They saw how that they concentrated their mind to perform something that they will do. And if they channel their mind
wow.
towards something, all the results they need, they are going to get it. So that's why some people they now thought that this is their God that created everything. That what they have to do is channel their worship to Him. That's a which is the mind. That's why even God knows how powerful the mind is. God, which is even more powerful than the mind, He knows how powerful the mind is. And He knew it. That's why in the early chapters of Genesis, when He looked down to what the people of Babel, what they're doing, the project that they had, they said that if we
Wow.
don't come and stop them, what they are planning on doing, they are going to accomplish it. God knew that this is something that
Yeah.
consumed a part of their mind. This was their mindset, and they concentrated all their mental energy on it. So that even if this is their first time in building a kind of mega structure that is that massive that maybe could even enter the upper atmosphere and even be out of Earth's orbit, something that in that time they don't even have that advanced knowledge to predict when the mega structure is going to end, or even building something that massive. According to that is, in other words, they do not have the level of architectural skill to be able to do that. But since they concentrated their mental energy to it, all the knowledge that they needed was suddenly just entering their brain by inspiration. And that's why your mindset also controls the level of inspiration they have. That's why it's a good thing to be inspired by other people, by other sources. It's also good to have external sources of inspiration, but it's also good for you to inspire your own self. Inspire your own self
Wow.
by thinking, meditating on how some other things that other people concentrated their mental energy on, and other things that people made the right mindset on, they were able to achieve it. That's something that can
Yeah.
be a personal inspiration. And once it's inspired you and motivated you, it's also something that is worth being disciplined for. That's why you can
Wow.
achieve anything and everything, even as one man or one woman. All you have to do is build the right mental construct. Because that right mental construct automatically will create every other spiritual construct. Will even build an entire advanced empire for you in your own realms, in the spirit world, and also in the dream world. If you have the mindset that you cannot be attacked
So
and no evil will happen to you in the spirit world, that is how it's going to be. If you make the right
you can.
mindset and also apply the right mental strength to that mindset, and if you direct your mental energy to that, yes. So that is it about how to use the mental construct. First, get the mindset and also train your mind. And now the third thing is direct your mental energy to it. You must learn to focus. Creating mindset is good, but being disciplined about your mindset is also even better because we're meant to be like God. God creates planets, and that means that we, his children, are supposed to create planets and create the life that will exist there. Just like how God creates universes, we're supposed to create universes. And it all starts with the idea. Just like God, God gets an idea and he now creates that idea. And that idea will become
Yeah.
another life form's reality. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So just like
Yes.
how God gets the idea and he focuses on it till everything is just perfect, which is on the
Yes.
instantaneous scale, because God does not have any problem
Yeah.
with knowledge. That is how us as children are not supposed to have any problem with the things that we need in getting anything done. All we have to do is
Wow.
get the idea. That is it about getting the
Wow.
idea. Yes.
Because it
So,
is we were formed in the mind of God. We were an idea in his
yeah,
mind that he was going to birth
yes.
children like us, co-create with him. So he first had that idea in his mind, and then he birthed it into being. And there we are, you and I,
Yeah.
now also learning to do the same. And we have to learn to do it by first imagining what we want to achieve, and then we bring that construct into, we birth it, we put all the structures in place to birth that idea. Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah.
That I yes, I understand. That makes so much sense. It's the same with every that's why we should write a vision. What comes to our mind, we should
Yeah.
write it down, and then we take steps to birth it. But you
Mm.
mentioned discipline. We need discipline, and we have to stay focused. And this is one of the things that
Yes.
Father would train you on when He's forming character in you, to sustain discipline, to maintain it, and to remain focused, be in line with the heart of heaven in
Yeah.
everything that you do. Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. If
Mm.
there's any question from our
So,
beautiful audience, you can write the questions in the comments and we will answer them. Thank you. All right, Ezekiel.
yeah. So, another easy way, and when I say easy way, I mean less time consuming way of dealing with evil forces that is attacking any part of your life or your family life or even someone that is close to you's life or any part of their own life. How to even deal with those evil forces is also creating the mental construct. Now, apart from building up a mindset, another way is doing it in prayer, which is I create a mental construct that is powered by God energy, and and I also task that mental construct to go and destroy those evil forces. And now we have to believe that that construct is going to do it because that construct is a piece of your infinite mind. Because your mind is as infinite as God, because you are like God, even more as a child of God. I don't know if you understand what
Wow.
I'm saying. So now when you create that
Yes.
mental construct, you send it towards any evil force, any evil construct that is anti that which you want. After you've sent that mental construct, you're going to get victory. But if you're doubting, then you're removing the power of that mental construct. So this is not something that I just do and it's in no way connected to your belief. You must also strengthen your belief because your belief is also another mental energy that is as powerful
Mm.
as God. That is why God loves it when we believe in Him,
Wow.
because He knows that there's power, high level power in that certain level of mental energy that you're concentrating on Him. So now I'm done with how to use
Right.
the mental
So
construct.
okay, so we I'm going to pick on that. So the mental construct, the other way, apart from you imagining it and bringing it out by birthing it, you can pray it and bring it
Yes,
forth.
yeah,
Okay.
you send it to
Okay.
any place in the spirit world. Let it wage war for you. So that even sometimes you don't even need to pray in the night because that construct is fighting your battles. Another way is that you can also send angels. Yes, angels is another topic that God has revealed a lot to me about that I'm going to say in another opportunity by God's grace. So going back to what I was saying, I'm
Yeah.
done with the how to use the mental construct. So now we move to
Okay.
ancient construct. Yes, ancient constructs,
Yay.
colon, ancient
Asian
Egyptian
constructs.
pyramids.
My favorite topic. Yes.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
so concerning the ancient constructs, now I did not just say ancient constructs, I said ancient constructs, colon, Egyptian pyramids. So the specific aspect of ancient constructs that I'm going to be talking about is about the
Is the Egyptian
constructs that
pyramid.
are in Egypt. Yeah, one of which is the pyramid.
Okay.
And based on what God has revealed to me, one thing that God revealed to me, one of the many things God revealed to me about ancient constructs, specifically about Egyptian constructs, ancient Egyptian constructs, is that those pyramids are more than just what other people call them, which one of which is places that they keep their own information, places that they even bury pharaohs. What God revealed to me is that it's way much more than that. That place is a chamber in which they extend their consciousness to other parts of the universe. That's what the Lord told me.
Uh,
Yes, that in that time in which the pyramids were built, the version of humans that were there are different from the version of humans that are in the present. Yes, some of the ancient Egyptian drawings might show human beings that are similar to us, but don't just believe 100% in those drawings. Reason because they might look 100% like us humans, but if you were to go to that point in time, you'll find out that they are not 100% like us on so many areas.
okay.
Those people were much more
Okay. So
stronger and much more intelligent.
what were they? What were those beings? They were not Adam's children. They were not human beings like Adam's children.
Actually, the truth is, when I say a different version of human, I don't mean they are not Adam's children. They are Adam's children that still have much more version of God DNA in them than a lot of human beings today because of how sin has increased. In that time, sin was not on the level that it is in this modern era. Sin was still infecting a lot
Right.
of people's DNA. You understand? And they did not fully consume their God DNA. Also because the people there, the kinds of foods that they were eating were the kinds that also doesn't affect their DNA to a certain extent. But that's a topic for another day. So going back to what I was saying, concerning the God DNA, a lot of their God DNA was also expressed, even though it wasn't expressed fully, but still a sizable part of their God DNA, that is those Egyptians, was expressed.
Okay.
And while
Okay.
they were still looking for an answer to a problem that they had, which is this sin and what it is doing to them, they decided to ask for the help that they think that they're going to get from beings that are basically the watchers of humanity. Now, I told you that the watchers of humanity, not all of them fell. And some of those
Yes.
watchers that did not fall are those Egyptian gods, well, so-called gods. Now, what God also revealed to me was that there's a time in ancient Egyptian history in which those gods weren't considered gods. In fact, they were simply considered leaders. There were times that those gods were actually physically there. It's not something that a lot of people in this modern era are saying that it cannot be seen physically. That's if there are some kind of spiritual entities. A lot of those Egyptian gods, they existed even physically. That is one of the things that God revealed to me. And also another thing that God
They
revealed
were
to
physical
me,
beings.
yes, they're
Most
physical
of the
beings.
Egyptians gods were
No,
physical beings.
yes.
Right. So why
The
were
thing
those
about
gods?
some of
Why
the
were gods?
the reason why they're called gods was because of their advanced knowledge, was because of the advanced knowledge and the
Right.
advanced power that they had, and also the technology that was seen with them. Technology that could even take them from one point in time and space to another point in time and space, but in the same universe. Technology that can transport massive
So
amount of structures from one place to another. So the thing is that the building of the pyramids is
so
something that
did they receive, okay, I was going to ask, did they receive this technology from the Nephilims or the fallen
no,
watchers?
no, it's not from the foreign watchers. There are other parts of the world in which
Right.
technology was given to them from the fallen watchers and the Nephilims. Although what you have to understand, based on what God has revealed to me, is that the Nephilims are different from the fallen watchers. The fallen watchers, they are aliens compared to human beings. And the Nephilims, they are
Right.
also aliens. Except the difference between them and their creators, which are the fallen watchers, is that these Nephilims, they are hybrids of human and alien. So they have some unique powers that even a lot of human beings in that time did not have. And also they were extremely
Okay.
massive. So even a Nephilim baby was even people were able to identify a Nephilim baby by the prowess that that baby was exhibiting. You know, was able to even lift
Right.
objects without hitting them. Their body was literally glowing like the sun. Their body was even moving across vast distances in a short space of time, not even moving on the ground, literally floating. And also, they were showing extreme intelligence
Wow.
as a baby. So, yeah, that and so many other
Right.
powers that are basically out of this world. So, going back to what I was saying, the thing about the building of the pyramids is that the building of the pyramids is kind of work that was done by the version of humans that existed then. They are still Adam's children, okay, that built the pyramids. Except that it's not only them that participated in the buildings of the pyramids, not just in Egypt, but in the entire planet. There was a time that one of the Egyptian watchers, one of the watchers that identified with the Egyptians, although not 100% still, there was a time that he built his own pyramid for a certain reason. Because according to the knowledge that was given also to the watchers, not just the version of human beings then, is that apart from entering a craft to move over vast distances in space, you can do that without sending any craft out of the planet by simply extending your own consciousness to anywhere you want in space. And that is what the version of human beings were doing then. A lot of them, since they
Right.
did not have the answer to a very, very big problem, which is what can repair them, their own DNA from sin, they decided to just get as much advanced knowledge as possible, thinking that in one of the advanced knowledge they're going to get will be the solution to this big problem, which is sin. But they did not find the cure. A lot of those versions of humans. And the watchers, they could not give them the cure because even though they are offsprings of God, they're still not the firstborn. They are not the eldest son of God, which is the Christ. So they could not do anything to
Which is
intervene
the
for the people.
Christ.
So it was a very, very painful moment in history in which these watchers that are meant to watch over human beings and take care of them to a certain extent, they could not take care of them. Now, when I say watchers, I refer to the ones that did not
Right.
fall. So, yeah. So
The
going back
ones
to what
that
I
did
was
not
saying,
fall. Okay. So
yeah.
these Egyptian Yeah, okay. Egyptian beings, yeah.
So going back to what I was saying about this Egyptian construct, these constructs, specifically the pyramids, they are known as consciousness extending, structures, devices, consciousness extending constructs. That is also what they are known as. And even apart from that,
They are
they are
not.
also known as they are also
Sorry,
known as God
we lost you.
level self.
We lost you for a second there. Is it
Okay. Okay. So what I said right
so?
now is that
Mhm.
the pyramids, they're known as extending consciousness device that basically extends an individual consciousness to any desired point in the universe, to any
Right,
desired point in the universe, and to any other dimension. Yes.
right.
So
Okay,
even times that the human being was able to physically transport themselves from a pyramid to somewhere else entirely in the universe. But no matter where they went and no matter the knowledge that they got from any realm that they went to by extending their consciousness, they were not able to find the cure to that problem, which is sin. They were not able to find the cure. So instead, they now gathered up huge amount of ancient knowledge that will help their generations, their future generations, so that even if they don't have the cure to that big problem, they'll find cures to other lesser problems. Yes. So that's why even about the symbols on the pyramids, those symbols are an advanced semi-graphic language, a language that basically consists of, it's a kind of language that doesn't have its own sound representative. So it just conveys meaning without any sound representing the writing. That is
wow.
how
So
these
it's like
Egyptian symbols work, based on what God has wrote
coded language. So it's like coded language. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be spoken. It doesn't have sound.
yes,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So you said that the pyramids were like leylands, and these leylands are sorry, not leylands. The structure of the pyramid is
yeah.
could be taken in from somewhere else, not necessarily built on site here.
Actually, no. What I was saying is that these pyramids, they are kind of devices, they're considered devices that can extend a person's consciousness to another place, meaning that it's a device that can induce someone's spirit being
Right.
able to transport to another place even while being inside the person's body. Now, the thing about extended consciousness is that extended consciousness is a much more advanced version of out of body experience. Just like how we're
Mm,
children of God, we know an out of body experience, except that it's not the Spirit of God that is coming to take your spirit out of your body while your spirit is in your body to a certain extent. This is a device that is inducing that effect. So you're not able to go to any place that you desire, not the Spirit of God. You understand? So that is the difference. That is the difference.
is that why the pyramids and all these huge structures are have as are discovered to have special energetic fields around them
Yes,
or
that's the
inside them?
reason.
Is that because is that why they have the energy
Yes,
fields inside them? So these energy fields were
yeah,
actually portals through which people are able to move in extraterrestrial realms or dimensions.
yeah.
Right.
And also to other places in the same universe, not just to other dimensions, also to other places in the universe to gather advanced knowledge from different entities. And
Right.
it was also a place that is also, the pyramids were also considered devices that can also boost a person's intelligence. So
Right.
imagine the amount of knowledge that even the people that accessed the pyramids in that time, that's once the pyramids were activated, because right now the pyramids, all the materials for the pyramid being fully activated are missing. They were taken away by some other people. So that's a different, history altogether about how those parts are missing. So the thing
Mm,
about the pyramids is that another thing God revealed to me is that the pyramids are also electricity generators. They
wow.
generate this huge amount of electrical energy over vast distances. Yeah. So just think about it. It's like a multi-purpose device, massive device. Not only can it extend someone's consciousness and boost someone's intelligence, it can also, give electrical energy. Now, mind you, if it can give electrical energy, now I'm sure the question that might be in some people's mind is, what's the use of this electrical energy? Is it to charge the pyramid? Well, the thing about the pyramid is that the pyramid is a unique electricity generator that it doesn't have a certain battery of some sort. It just flows with the electricity it generates. So it's basically like self-charging. So it doesn't necessarily need a battery. All it needs is just the materials that will be fixed upon it to enable it to generate the massive amount of electrical energy. So that is it about the pyramid. Yeah. And
So
also
go
the
ahead, please.
pyramids are also, yeah, the pyramids are also considered this kind of checkpoints in which any entity that is traveling in space will just use its own advanced technology to look at any checkpoint on any planet in which you can go and stay for a while. So, meaning that there's this kind of beacon like ancient mechanism that's integrated into the pyramid that
So that is
anyone from
like
any point in space
so
can
that is like
witness.
an airport. Okay,
Yeah,
like when the airport, yeah, a place where entities or shall we say ancient alien ship will be directed,
yeah,
find a landing place through the pyramids.
yeah,
Right. So it's also a way of um, directing other beings to come onto the earth and engage human beings.
yeah,
Because I believe that, well, during the Second World War, we actually also created portals to bring them in. And in other points of history, portals were created to bring in a lot of these alien ships onto the earth. And they still come anyway. All these obelisks all over the world that we have in different parts, different cities in the world are all kind of what do you call it, points for aliens to identify their welcome onto the land. Now, these Egyptian pyramids, they are also connected to other pyramids on the earth in other parts of the
they're
world.
connected to what?
They are connected to other pyramids on the earth in other parts of the earth.
Yeah, yeah, they're connected to every other pyramid, both the pyramids that are in Mexico, even the pyramids that are in other parts of Africa, and even to the underwater pyramids. Because another thing God revealed to me is that there are also pyramids that are underwater, perfectly structured pyramids by even the underwater civilization. And there are even under earth pyramid like structures that is built by the under earth civilization. Yes. And there's also the Antarctica pyramids. The thing about Antarctica is that a huge part of Antarctica is Tartaria. That's the thing about Antarctica. Because in ancient times, Tartaria was also a very, very advanced civilization. It was more than just a kingdom, it was a very advanced, technologically advanced civilization that every other civilization, big or even small kingdom, submitted to in terms of authority, but not because they were afraid of Tartaria, that is in the considering Tartaria to be a kind of predator like sense, not that kind of fear, but because they respected the might of Tartaria. And Tartaria was also good and just in their laws. Imagine saying a kingdom that is very, very powerful, even in terms of capability and knowledge, and is still very good. You understand? So that is it about Tartaria in Antarctica. So there's also Tartaria that's responsible for the pyramids there. But another thing about Antarctica is that there's also the pyramid-like structures of the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Nephilim, not all of them are dead. There are a part of them that are actually alive and active in Antarctica. Yes, but apart from them, there are also the other good races that God has created for different
Right.
purposes that are on
Yeah.
the
You
planet
broke up a
and
bit
also in
there.
Antarctica.
So what you are saying is, yeah, the Nephilims are, there are some who are living still in Antarctica and are living
Yeah,
active lives there now.
yeah.
Okay. And yeah, you said apart from them, go on.
There are also other races that God has also created for different purposes in Antarctica. Yes, one of which is what I classify as the blue people because they're literally very blue. You know, when I say very blue, I actually mean like how I would classify it, let's say sky blue, based on what God has shown me. Yeah, and lots of visions. Yeah, sky blue.
You say you call them what? Huge people.
No, blue people. They're
Blue
known by
people
me
in
as blue
Antarctica.
people because they're very blue in color.
They are
Yeah,
very blue, but they are like
yes.
giants, big
No, they're
and
not
giants.
giants. They're not giants. They're not giants. They're different from the Nephilim.
They are
Okay?
normal
These
human
other
size.
races, yeah, they're normal human size. Some are taller. Some are taller, but not all of them are taller than human beings on the level of Nephilim. The thing about the Nephilim is that the Nephilim is not the only kind of race that exists apart from human beings. There are other races on earth that God has created that are different from human beings, that are even different from the underwater people and the under earth people. That is what God told me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So the pyramid, again, I'm coming back to the pyramid because that's one of my
yeah.
very exciting topics. So the pyramid, the purpose for the creation of the pyramid is for the collection of knowledge and the
Yes.
expansion of
Getting
consciousness.
knowledge. Yes, getting knowledge and also communication with other entities. Still, for the general sake of knowledge and relationship. The thing is that the versions of humans in Egypt, human beings then they actually wanted to have as much relationship with different entities as possible. You know, to get more knowledge to also be a better people. And also in that time when God was even dealing with that is before the flood, when God was dealing with a lot of of this bad Nephilim race and even their creators, which are the fallen watchers. This entity, this version of humans that existed in Egypt, they knew that in order to exist in that kind of chaotic world, they need to have as much relationship with these other entities as possible so that they'll get the level of weaponry that they need to defend themselves with as possible. Because this Nephilim, they were trying to dominate the entire planet. They already had lots of plans concerning how they're going to do that and be a superior race among even the human race and even other races that God has created. That's why one of the reasons why God put the flood. Also because human beings were not seeing the bigger picture that they should. Instead, they were being more insane and they were also bowing down to these fallen watchers. And they were also weaponizing themselves to fight against also other human beings. That's one of the many reasons why God brought the flood. And do you know that even after the flood, there are also more creation of the pyramids? Because even for the later offspring of Noah, they decided that let us also get knowledge to also be a much more better people, even though we're being spread across the entire planet. When we get to a place that we consider as a people to be our destination. Let us still get much more advanced knowledge that will help us to become a much more better people. That's why some of these offspring are the Egyptian civilization, the ancient Indian civilization. Yes. So the thing is that there
Wow.
have been a lot of
This makes
knowledge that we should
this
have,
makes so much
but it's just
sense.
that, yeah,
Yeah, this makes so much sense because I've heard of people who, through meditation, are taken into the pyramids all over the world. And under the pyramid, sometimes to study and receive a lot of wisdom and knowledge in healing, in herbs, in all sorts of things, and they come and they use it. But this search for knowledge and expansion of consciousness, from what you are saying, has always been there and has been the drive behind the building of all these pyramids around the earth. We've seen them in
yeah,
different parts of the world, even the Americas, they are there, all parts of in Africa, in Mexico, in Asia. We see these pyramid structures everywhere on the earth. But it is believed that they are, when you mark them, they are all in a in a certain alignment. They are all
yeah,
completely aligned. They are all complete. They could
yeah,
all be aligned completely, one to the other, one point to the other, to the other. And this shows that it's like a structure on the earth that opens up for entities to come in and give knowledge to humanity. Now, why is it so important for humanity to gain knowledge from these entities when there is a creator? Why has or was humanity scared to go back to God? Could we say they were scared to go back to God? Why did they seek wisdom and knowledge from other beings rather than going back to their creator?
Well, the truth is that not all of them knew about the Creator because their parents, not all their parents even told them about the Creator that created the entire new surface, which is the what we call the planet Earth, which based on what God revealed to me is actually a new surface. There was a planet that was existing before. God just put a new surface on it. So back to what I was saying, not all of them knew about the Creator. So the ones who did not know, they considered the watchers to be the source of everything. And that's why they made the mistake in worshiping the watchers that did not fall. And also for the ones who knew, they also, you know, went after the face of God. You understand? They also sought the face of God. But even apart from seeking the face of God, God also put a lot of advanced knowledge to these beings. So these beings, they're also the custodians of a lot of knowledge that we supposed to have before, or we didn't because of the fall. So I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So these other beings, they are the custodians of this knowledge. Not saying that all the knowledge belongs to them. No, not all the knowledge belongs to them, but a part of the knowledge belongs to them. So while we're seeking the face of God for the all the knowledge, all the level of knowledge that God has, there's also the knowledge that He has put in these other beings' care so that we can also ask for this knowledge. Now, when I say ask for the knowledge, I don't mean we should pray to these beings because asking is different from praying to a certain high level. Now, there are a lot of ancient ways we used to have contact with these entities, one of which is extending our consciousness, in which a lot of children of God, we don't know how to. We don't even think we should. That's a lot of us, which is not good because apart from our Father coming to take us to different places by extending our own consciousness, apart from Him being the one to induce that effect, we are gods, and there's no problem in us also doing it ourselves since we're also restored and all that power belongs to us. There's no reason for us not to do it ourselves. So,
So we
going
can
back to
do
what I'm
that
saying,
in
that is
our
how we
restored,
ask.
yeah, we can do that in our restored consciousness, not the chaotic and perverted consciousness.
Yeah,
The
with our
restored
own restored
consciousness.
Christ-like consciousness.
So the
Yeah,
restored Christ-like
yeah,
consciousness is that which can expand that far, but the perverted, unrighteous consciousness will only lead us to more evil, right? Okay, all right.
Yeah, the thing
What?
about extending consciousness when you have not, when your DNA is not restored, is that even if you are directing your consciousness, you're extending your consciousness to a desired point, because of the frequency in which your consciousness operates on, which is on a negative level because of sin, the DNA have not been repaired. So no matter where you desire to extend your consciousness to, you'll always be going to the wrong place, which is among some bad entities. So that's why it's not good to extend it when you have not given your life to Christ.
This is
Because
a very
with
good. This is
Christ,
a
you'll be able
very
to
good.
even do greater, extend it to the right places that you desire, to the watchers that have not fallen, so that you can get the knowledge that you're supposed to have.
Wow.
Yes,
This is a very good
that
point
is it.
because there's a lot of
Yeah.
awakening, and I'm doing this because we are saying we are awakening, and yet a lot of us are just going around seeking extra knowledge and wisdom and understanding from all these beings. And we are receiving this wisdom and knowledge and understanding, but I have been asking people, what is the point of your awakening if it is not restoring your DNA, if it is not restoring you into righteousness? And that's what we are talking about. If you are not being restored into righteousness in your awakening, you are actually going backwards to what we were doing wrong before, right?
Yes, yeah.
You.
And the thing is that you have to fix the bigger problem before you go on to fix other problems. Now, what's the
Uh-huh.
bigger problem? Your DNA is damaged. You're not the original level of a life form on the genetic scale and class that you should. And that's a big problem that
Like
if
that.
you overlook it to go to other problems, when you die, you're not going to a safe place. So there's nothing like even getting the
Like that.
opportunity after you die to now become a better person and even get all this advanced knowledge. No, you're not going to
I like
see the watchers that did not fall. Instead, the
I
person will
like
be headed to a place in which the person is going to suffer for more than infinite amount of time. So that's why you have to fix the bigger problem. You have to get a better
which is your
relationship with
DNA.
Christ. Let Him repair your DNA so that you be restored to the level that you can even get the knowledge yourself, and even Christ can reveal that knowledge to you. And apart from your elder brother, which is the Christ, revealing the knowledge to you, your other siblings can also give you the knowledge that you need to know. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I
Yes,
do understand what
that
you
is
are
it
saying.
about the government.
Had I've had people question, why do we need to do so much work on our DNA? Why do we have to restore the DNA? Why is there so much cleansing if we are already in Christ? But what you are saying is you have to allow Christ to repair the DNA. Our DNA is broken. The DNA is broken. This is not our true DNA. But this DNA has to be restored in order for us to operate in the fullness of who we really are. And who we really are cannot operate in perfection outside righteousness, right?
Yes,
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for that clarity. Because a lot of people, especially Christians, have asked
those who have
me,
not given their life to Christ restored us for a reason. And this is one of the main reasons, so that we'll become like God. You being restored by Christ is one thing, and you being in Christ is one thing. But also, as a unique Christ yourself, you need to get the knowledge that you need. There's an ancient knowledge that you need to get. All of reality, every other creature is under you, and you need to take care of them. The entire universe and every other universe that God is constantly creating, and the life that exists there, all of them are dependent on your will. You're not just restored to just enjoy yourself and you not care about any other thing that exists, especially your inheritance. Christ restored you so that you can take care of your inheritance, because your inheritance is everything that God owns. That's why children of God should not have the mindset that, okay, we're restored, so there's nothing to do anymore. There is so many things to do. That is his only son to die so that he can be restored. God's offspring, there was a huge risk and a huge chance of God's offspring, a huge part of God's offspring being destroyed forever and ever. But the first of God's offspring restored everything. So why should the rest of the offspring that have been restored now forget about what they should originally do? And now think that, okay, they have been restored, there's no more problem. That is the thing that God doesn't like at all about those who have been restored. They do not know the things that they should own. They don't know the things that they should know. They don't know the things that they should obtain and rule over. Because when you are restored, you are meant to operate in the level of God. And if you're not doing that, God is not happy with you. And even Christ is not happy with you. Yes.
Amazing.
So that is
This
it
is
about.
this is why we have the School of Sons. Because in the School of Sons, you have to go through restoration. You have to become a living sacrifice. We go through all this process so you can now take your mantle and your mandate and walk in the fullness of your calling on this earth. So what you are saying really confirms a lot of things that we are doing in the School of Sons. And this is what I believe, this is where Christianity has been swayed for so many years. We haven't taken up the responsibility of walking as sons because we have not gone through restoration. A lot of us go to church but have never allowed ourselves to go through restoration. And once you are not restored, you are unable to restore anyone or anything else that is around you. Wow. I am so happy about the restoration of the DNA that you have brought forth.
One of the main things about the restoration is that you are not just restored, but you are also a restorer. You are restored to restore. So once you have been restored as a child of God, everything, even the things that are considered demonic, you are meant to cleanse them from their corruption, just like how Christ did to us, because we, as children of God, we were once corrupted. We were once considered things that nobody should go close to unless they'll be corrupted.
Wow.
So now that we're being restored, we're restored to restore even other demonic constructs. Or why do you think the keys of hell and death have been, why is it that Christ owns the keys of hell and death? And even a lot of things that he owns, he has even given to us. What are we going to do with the keys of hell and death? What does that mean? A lot of children of God, we either confuse this part of the Bible or we just live it in general. Now, the thing about the keys of hell and death, these constructs of hell and death, is the things, the knowledge that is considered demonic, the constructs that are considered demonic, they are no longer demonic. Those things have now been restored to even be divine and of God. Those are the keys of hell and death. Yeah. So going back to what I was saying about Asian constructs, specifically about the Egyptian constructs, the thing about the building of the pyramids is that there was a version of human beings that are Adam's children, except their DNA wasn't fully damaged. So with the remaining God DNA that was yet to be damaged was expressed, and they used that expression of the advanced knowledge that was in their God DNA to be able to build the pyramids, to extend their consciousness to different points of the universe, to also interact with different beings, most of which is the Watchers, so that the Watchers will give them the knowledge that they need.
Wow.
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yes, so that is it about the Asian construct of Egypt.
But the question I want to ask now is, so how were the pyramids constructed? Who gave them the architecture and how did they construct them?
They did it with ancient technology. Now, what you have to know is that there's been a lot of lies about the trajectory of human technological evolution. Now, there's been a lot of even resequencing of the human trajectory of the human technological evolution, one of which is the fact that the modern era is not the most advanced era. That is one of the things about the modern era. It's not the most advanced. In fact, it is the most primitive compared to the past. I mean, think about it. We've not been able to rebuild the pyramid. And this is something that was done in ancient times by so-called archaic methods of architecture. So if the archaic methods of building were able to build something this magnificent and so-called modern, technologically advanced era of human beings were not able to replicate that, then that shows that we're not at the most advanced technologically and even knowledgeably compared to the ancient. There's a lot of proofs
Yes.
that show that there have been a rewritten sequence of the original sequence of the human technological evolution. And the truth is, based on what God has revealed to me, in the past, we're much more technologically advanced than we are now.
I
Knowledge
completely
has been closed behind a lot of doors. A lot of knowledge have been hidden, one of which we as restorers were meant to generate. That is
right.
why we're not just supposed to ask God for, the next meal or for a car, things that still are part of this stage of this modern era. We're supposed to ask God for ancient, much more advanced abilities, abilities that make us to be ahead of the world system. Because not to be away from the world, we're supposed to be better than the world. Should we be away from the world and suffer, or should we be away from the world and thrive and even be better? So that those who are in the world will see what we have and see what Christ can give and will not come away from the world system, which is archaic. You have to prove, we as children of God, we have to prove to the world system that we are actually children of God. Because when you're saying you're children of God, it's more than just a special name you're giving to yourself. Is it a name like Alice that you're calling yourself? Just like how Alice is just a random name that can be given to someone. That's how someone can now be classified as child of God. Or is it a name of Joseph that the child of God should be reduced to in level and classification?
No.
When they say child of God, it means child of someone who created something as perfect and as unique and as in depth as the universe. Everything was done on more than a pinpoint accuracy. And since God, the creator of everything, even knowledge itself, was able to produce something that generates different aspects of knowledge, then what about his offspring? His offspring should not be using technology and fashion and design of the evil one. That doesn't speak much about our classification and our identification as children of God. We have to prove that we are children of God. Saying get away from the world system is one thing, but also providing something that can disrupt the world system and make everybody go to the new world system. That is something that's better. That's why instead of children of God, instead of Christians should just, instead of, children of God just speaking against the one world order, we're supposed to propagate our own order, which is the new world order. Our new world order is the original new world order because if you're supposed to think about it, this evil so-called new world order is basically a full expression of the world order that's always been.
Oh dear. Wow. We just lost E- Ezekiel, but I think he's coming back. What an awesome time we are having. He's got so much to share on the ancient constructs, which today we are talking about the pyramids of Egypt, and also the restoration of the human DNA. Thank you, Ezekiel. You are
Oh,
back.
so
Good to see you. Yes. So we're talking about once we move from the things of the world and we are restored, then we can now bring a new order into being to overtake the systems of the world.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Ezekiel. Is
Well,
there something you want to add to it? Because I could see your internet is beginning to give you problems. Is there something you want to add before
yeah.
we move to I know you have
Okay,
so
so
much.
yeah, by God's grace. So apart from the ancient Egyptian constructs, you are asking a question which is Who are the ones that build the pyramids? So the people who build the
Yes.
pyramids are human beings. Now, how they built the pyramids? But think about the who that built the pyramids is a version of humans and also other alien beings. So it wasn't just a work that was only done by human beings. It was both
Right.
humans and other entities. So it's not that human beings contributed in the only the crafting while the aliens had the knowledge. No, human beings also had the knowledge to build it. And we also built it with our own ancient, much more advanced technology. So it was a collaboration, not just, not an employment of other alien beings. It wasn't an employment, it was a collaboration of equal efforts.
Wow.
So how was it built? It was built with ancient devices that are connected to quantum vibrations. Now, the thing about quantum vibrations, advanced ancient technology, is that it's a technology that can rewrite the quantum vibrations of an interdimensional reality on the interdimensional quantum string level to the extent that things that are not constructed in a certain scale, in the next second, you see everything just like that. So meaning that in every kind of observation, with every kind of technology, everything was just refabricated according to the quantum variables of that thing that exists within our space-time continuum. For example, okay, to break things down, if you have this technology of quantum vibration technology, quantum vibration printing technology. So it's a technology that imprints things in time, things that are meant to be expressed no matter what in time. Okay, let's say I need a cup right now. So with that technology, all I have to imprint into the quantum vibrations of our interdimensional reality is a white cup. Now, once I just click on enter on this device, a cup will manifest out of nowhere. So this is one
Wow.
of the technologies that was used in the creation of the pyramids. Everything was just done accurately. And one of the ways, one of the other ancient technologies that was used based on what God revealed to me is manipulation of gravitational waves. There
Wow.
is a certain level of influence that the gravitational wave of the planet has on matter. And since this pyramid objects are matter, and you see, even the certain measurement of all these pyramids on a mathematical level can even be summarized to a lot of things that have to do with the measurement of the planet and even the distance between the planet and the sun. And because of how they are measured, it actually denotes to this fact about their connection to gravitational control. Now, gravitational control in the modern era is something that is on a conceptual level. Since I said we're not on the most advanced scale, in the ancient times, we're much more advanced than this present time. So to them, it wasn't something that was conceptual. It
Where?
was something that was very practical. The technology to do so. The technology to do so. And do you know something? This is just a by the way, there were also a lot of advanced ancient masons that were there. Now, mind you, Freemasonry
Ancient what?
is basically the masons.
Oh,
Masons.
Masons. Masons. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. The difference between the ancient masons that were there and Freemasons is that Freemasons they corrupt the ancient advanced knowledge that is connected to spiritual versions of physical construct. They know that every construct has power, so they corrupt it with negative energy. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So it's different from
Yes.
original actual masonry, which is much more advanced architecture. There's more to structures than just skyscrapers and square buildings. There's much more diversity in architecture than just that. So
Architecture.
that is something that was then. And do you know that children of God, we're supposed to be even much more advanced masons? Now, don't let your religious mindset influence what you just heard right now, because there's even something that I said in the Bible. The stone that was rejected has now become the cornerstone. Do you know what a cornerstone is? That's to those who are listening. A cornerstone is a much more advanced kind of foundation to a building that is not in the usual modern form, which is the foundations that are rooted in the ground. Imagine a foundation that is on the surface and the building does not crumble. Imagine that kind of foundation. And the foundation is not vertical, it's not a vertical pillar, it's in the form of a square. Imagine a foundation that instead of it to be pillars, it's a square and it's on the surface. And at the same time, the entire building is not collapsing. Just think about how unique that architecture is, but it's much more advanced. Now, judging by what I just said, it's significantly much more advanced in architectural design and skill and knowledge more than the usual way of architecture. Now, that is something that is like a kind of missionary related analogy that is used in the Bible. The stone that was rejected has now become the cornerstone. Where did that cornerstone analogy come from? It came from the knowledge of masons. Now, I'm not saying that the Bible copied other masons. No, I'm saying that there were original masons in the Bible. And they use this analogy, not just those who are writing the translated version. This is not a transliterated mistake. This is something that's gotten from the original facts because they were ancient masons of that time, some of which are children of God. So, any question before I
Yeah,
move on to
I believe
the
that.
ancient chemistry?
Yeah, I believe that because I mean, the ancient technology has always been there, and God allowed for the construction of a lot of ancient technologies. I mean, Noah constructed the Noah's the ark, the boat that at the time when it hadn't rained. That is ancient technology, and he used his ancient wisdom to build something
Yeah,
which carried elephants and big animals, so I believe that the ancient technology that we have lost is way more much more advanced. I mean, I used to look at the Inca lines and wonder what they were, because the only way you can see the Inca lines and recognize them is when you are way above. Yet we say we only discovered helicopter how many years ago, an aeroplane how many years ago. So there were beings that were seeing the earth from above, and some of those lines I believe came from that. And the Bible has a lot of information about the expertise of the ancient times, those who built the Ark of the Covenant. Even those people, they had so much expertise. And when you look at other ancient texts, it explains how much expertise they had at the time. Yet, yes, the Freemasons took this technology and corrupted it and perverted it and used it to their own and for their own agenda. Amazing revelation we have had today,
yeah,
especially that the cornerstone being such a powerful stone. And yet we say Christ has become the cornerstone of the new foundation that Father is laying for all of us. Wow, wow. Somebody
yeah.
said, I hear
So,
Jesus was actually a mason, not a woodworker. Okay. Yes,
I mean,
Ezekiel.
when you think about it, yeah, when you think about it, concerning Jesus being a Mason, there's a high chance of that probability being actual fact, considering the fact that, I mean, he was this carpenter's son. And since there were a lot of Masons in that time, and when you look at even the advanced architectural structures of ancient Rome, and it's not all the, Romans that actually participated in the building of these ancient structures that are now ancient Roman ruins, meaning that Israelites also participated in the construction of all these things. So there's a high chance
Yeah.
of Yeshua also knowing more about the Masons for him to. I'm sure it's him that said something like that in the Bible about the cornerstone and the, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a high chance of
Right.
that being fact. I mean, even denoted from that scripture of the cornerstone that is being rejected. So going back to what I was saying, I've only talked about one ancient construct, which is the Egyptian pyramids. So now we move to
Yes.
the next one, which is the ancient Indian constructs,
Wow.
specifically ancient Indian spaceships and temples. Now, there's no actual ruin of a spaceship, but there are a lot of structures in ancient India that connect, and not just structures, but also writings that talk about craft that move in the sky.
Yeah.
So
Craft
you
that
cannot
came.
have an idea about a craft and not practicalize it, because the way it was talked about in those writings, even though I've not read one, but based on what God has revealed to me about the writings of India, is that those writings, it was a mixture of the human beings that existed them also having this advanced knowledge,
Right.
and also their siblings. And when I say siblings, I don't mean human siblings. I actually mean our brothers and sisters, our cousins and sisters, which are from other planets. Now you know about the alien civilization. So the thing is that it's not that the version of humans that existed then did not know anything. They knew a lot about these ships, and they also knew how to create them. It's just that the beings who came there, they also gave them also even much more knowledge than what they had. All right. So that's how come they're able to write a lot about it. So the thing about even writing it in stone is that they had this vibe based on the advanced knowledge that they have. They had this vibe that there will be a time in which they would not exist on the planet, and other people don't need this kind of technology. Other people who exist then don't need this technology and know how in order to become a better people, and so that the problems, some certain problems, would not be the people who exist then problem, which is the modern era. But unfortunately, because of the huge amount of lost knowledge, it's not all of us that is able to even, know that is how to construct all the things that are even written in the writing. Although there are also the laid down guidelines on how to create these kind of things that are in the ancient Indian writings based on what God has revealed to me. So the thing about it is that there is a part of the gods that were not originally called gods, but actually watchers that have not that have not fallen. And there's also the watchers who have fallen that were deceiving a lot of people. That's why, based on what God has revealed to me, there was a lot of wars before the flood, not just human war, and not just Nephilim war, but even these fallen watchers themselves. They also fought among themselves. That's why there have been a lot of wars documented in these ancient Indian manuscripts and writings. So that is based on what God has revealed to me. So the thing about the technology is that the technology is not completely alien in nature. That is based on what God has revealed to me. It's not completely alien. It's a mixture of ancient human technology and also ancient alien technology. That is it. And also the thing about the watchers who did not fall, they also knew a lot of things about, you know, things about that have to do with consciousness specifically. And even apart from consciousness, things that have to do with the power in us humans, the power in our mind. That is why they try their best that even if they weren't the answers to the bigger problem, which is the DNA being repaired, they'll still help them in other things so that some other problems will not now be this kind of sequence of massive problems. If you combine those smaller problems with the main big problem, which is sin and its effect on the human species. So the thing about the watchers who did not fall that had contact with the ancient Indians is that they gave them a lot of knowledge that will enable them to become better versions of them, of themselves. That is the human beings that existed then. So that is what God revealed to me about the ancient Indian constructs, and that these temples they have this high vibrational power that can enable someone to even know things that they did not know before. And even this kind of higher level of power that can enable someone to know the activities that used to happen hundreds of thousands of years ago. Yes, and even much more advanced psychic powers and abilities. All these things are in the vibrations that are within the ancient Indian temples. But it's just that there have been a lot of corruption in those ancient Indian temples based on what God has revealed to me. Because a lot of people, knowing this truth, have been seeking for much more knowledge, but using it for corrupt purposes. So a lot of people, that corrupt purpose is more than just a plan in their mind, it's an energy that's spreading. So because of the amount of people who have entered these temples and they have evil mind, that their evil mind as an energy has now corrupted the base high vibrational power that is in all those temples and ancient Indian constructs. Yeah. So it's good to even go to the writings and look for some ancient knowledge that you can craft in the physical and a much more practical skill. But it's just that don't consider it to be your full source of advanced ancient information. Because as a child of God, you can even know more things that is bigger than all these writings, all the things that are in these writings. Now, for the fact that I say that doesn't mean you should not go to those writings and look for something that originally is yours. Because the thing about these writings and some ancient scientific and technological knowledge that they have is that the knowledge originally was supposed to be yours, but because of sin, you could not access it. So you could go to it and get it from those writings based on what God has revealed to me. So, any question?
My mic was
Is there
muted,
any
sorry.
question?
So the point you have made so far is that it is sin that has prevented us from accessing all the technology and everything that Father blessed us with. Is sin. Sin has stopped us from
Mm.
accessing it. Yet, because we didn't know how to overcome sin, we actually went outward to look for people, to look for other beings, to look for knowledge, to look for wisdom from other entities. Hence, the building of the pyramids and the structures that expanded and our consciousness into other dimensions. And you spoke about the language of or the words or the text or the written documents which are left behind, yet we are still not able to crack them because they are ancient language. Wow, such amazing revelations you have given us today. And if you look at the ancient Indian technology, really, it's really mind-boggling. And some of the architectural structures of Africa, North Africa, and other parts of Africa, and even around the world, quite amazing. And it's surprising that we have actually referred to them as primitive, but actually, when you look at it, considering what they have built, we are very primitive, aren't we? But the question I
Yeah,
have right
pretty
now
much.
is the question I have right now is when you look at the story of human evolution, science and archaeology has come up with so much uh, little tools to explain where humans have come from. And we have referred to our ancestors as being indigenous and people who use stone cutting tools to cut things. Yet they were able to build these um, amazing structures. How do you relate what we are discussing now to the story of evolution, where humans move from being monkeys to where we are now?
Okay, the thing about it being, the thing about it being monkeys is entirely wrong. There's no point in human history that we were like monkeys or even close to. There's no point in history that we're like that. It's just that their theory about evolution is not entirely wrong. One of the main parts that they're wrong is specifically about the monkeys aspect. That is so much. But the thing about the how we progressed from this level of knowledge to another level of knowledge on a general scale, not the specific sequence that you're putting it, that is something that happened. Now, the thing is that it's not that we went from a primitive era to an advanced era. No, we went from an advanced era to a primitive era. That is the thing that actually happened. So there was a certain level of evolution. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Except this evolution was from the forward, not forward to a back. It's only a part of that backward that was forward because of those who restore themselves and are still restoring themselves. So the
Wow.
evolution of the human species is something that is extremely complex, considering the fact that in the beginning we were very, very advanced. We weren't primitive on any level. Even our linguistic intelligence was on a cross-species level. We're able to communicate with different kind of life forms, and they're able to communicate with us and understand. Now, there are a lot of people are saying when the so-called advanced, era, why is it that we're not able to understand even common dog barks? But Adam was able to communicate with every kind of life form. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So, yes, there's evolution, but not in the way scientists are putting it. Originally, we're extremely advanced, but sin caused the de-evolution and degeneration of the human DNA. So that is why I said it went from forward to backward. But in
Yeah.
the time of the backwardness, there was still some forward aspect of movement, which is because
Yeah.
of Christ. Christ is one that saved the trajectory of the human evolution. That's why from human de-evolution, he changed it to an amazing opportunity for us to be restored to the original level. Now, the restoration is still evolution. It's just that we were once there, but something happened that made us to decrease in level and intelligence and capability and know-how and even form and physiology. So that is it. So the
And
thing
now we
about
are
the
going
human
back there.
physiology,
Right.
yeah, we're going back there. And for those who have restored themselves, in order not to still look like how we were before, we have to change our mindset because your mind even does something that's close to epigenetics, except it's more of your neural synapses and your neurons in general manipulating your chromosomal and genomic and genotype, genotypical and even entire helix structure. In basic terminology, what I'm saying is that it's your mindset that can still control your DNA on every level, from the smallest to the biggest. So even your God DNA, because the thing about your
Wow.
God DNA is that your God DNA is a unique God DNA sequence. So it's not the same pattern. It's not the same God DNA pattern that is in your own
Wow.
gene structure that is in mine.
Wow.
So everybody has a unique God DNA. So in your own unique God DNA, you have to broaden your
That is
mindset
us
so
now.
that
Yeah.
the God DNA in you can be fully expressed. Because there is more to just asking God for some common things that God can easily do it any day. You have
Okay.
to ask God to even make the human civilization to be even much more advanced through you. Because it's all about getting away from this primitive world system to the real advanced world system, using the powers of the world to come. The powers of the world to come is not something that you have to look for in a certain far point in the general space-time continuum. No, it's something that is in you. You just have to accept something else, which is the God DNA by giving your life to Christ. When you give your life to Christ, the God DNA enters your body. And once the God DNA enters your body, when you also broaden your mindset, now that you have become a child of God, that God DNA that has been put in you will now be fully expressed, and you'll become like God. And through you, a part of the human race will move from the primitive era to a much more advanced, restored, evolved era. New world order. That is the real new world order. That is the original new world order. That's the
Wow.
divine new world order,
You
not this false negative world order. I wouldn't even classify it as a world order. It's more like a world slavery order because that's the thing about the devil. It's just
like that.
so
I
going
like
back
that.
to What I was saying, thing about the ancient Indian technology is that even apart from the Egyptians, the ancient Indians, they believed that they can also get the level of knowledge that they need, that in time, if they can combine all their knowledge, they could also create their own solution to the bigger problem, which is sin. But in all the
Sin.
level of importance that they
Right.
reached in getting knowledge from all
Right.
these other beings, they were not able to cure the problem. They weren't able to cure the problem. They were extremely desperate, but they were not able to cure the problem. Yes, but that's why now the problem now has a cure. Even for a very long time now, it's not just now that the cure came. The cure has been there for more than 1,000 years. And the cure is Yeshua. When your DNA
The
is
cure.
restored, the cure is Yeshua
The
to
cure for
this
what?
big problem. The cure to the
Okay.
human genomic de-evolution. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And also the cure to even
Yeah.
the problem of sin. The problem of sin. That is the cure,
It's
which is Christ. When you
it's
accept
yes.
Christ, you'll even be able to get all this other knowledge that you need to get, even from all these other beings that have not fallen. Because the thing about these beings who have not fallen, that originally are not classified as gods, is that they are also a part of God's offspring. God has created other entities that are not angels and not humans and not demons. These are the sons of God. Angels are not the
Wow.
sons of God. They are servants. A servant of a king is different from the son of a king. So that is it about the
Yes.
ancient Indian
So
construct. Yeah. So any question before I
wow.
move on?
No. Wow. Wow. You
Okay.
want to move on? Wow.
Yeah. The next point.
Okay. Uh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So no
Yes.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No. No.
So
It's
the
quite
next
clear.
point
Yes.
is the ancient. The next point is the ancient Stargate constructs. Ancient Stargate constructs. Now the
Target.
thing about yeah,
Right.
Stargate. So, the thing about Stargate constructs, based on what God has revealed to me, is that these are very, 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 very old constructs that were used to transport people. And when I say people, not just human people, also other entities to other dimensions. You know, our planet has different dimensional versions. There's a version of this dimension in which there are a lot of giant trees
Yeah.
and a lot of massive creatures. You know, there's a lot of herb everywhere. There's no massive structure like the ones that are on this dimensional version. And some of them can be accessed in some ancient ditches and stargates, but mostly stargates. They can be accessed. So the stargates, based on what God has revealed to me, they are real. They are called gateways to other dimensional versions of the planet, and not just dimensional versions, gateways, but they're also gateways to other points in the universe. Something similar to the pyramids, except this ones they take both the human body, the human spirit, and the human soul to another place in the universe. So this is another way of even interstellar travel. So it is something that was even done through controlling some particles that flip in and out of our dimensional reality. We use that to create this rotatory and jittery sequence as capable of warping space-time on a miniaturized level in which matter can move through the quantum micro wormholes that's created by these interdimensional quantum glyphing particles. So in basic terminology, this is a device that can transport someone from one dimension to another dimension. And this is a kind of construct that
Wow.
has a lot of advanced powers. Yes, it has different advanced powers. One of these
So these are
examples in
construct.
scripture,
Yeah.
did
Go
you say
on.
something? One of these examples in scripture is the one in which Jacob,
Yeah, I was
when he
going to.
slept in a certain place. So when Jacob slept on this place in Bethel, he just had this dream in which there
Understood.
is this gate from heaven to the planet Earth. So even to that very spot in which I was sleeping, and there were a lot of angelic beings that were coming from the portal that this gateway was leading to down to the ground, and God was staying at the top. So now that is an example of a gateway. So that means that they are physical constructs to even a lot of places. Do you know that there are physical constructs to the spirit world? This spirit realm that a lot of people see in
Physical.
visions, in dreams, in revelations, there are physical portals that you can actually transport your body to that world. Yes. So it's something that's really, really cool and fascinating and amazing. It's something that God revealed to me by His grace. So the thing about this
Wow.
construct is that they are not corrupt themselves. It's just what they are used for that can be corrupt and can be used for good purposes. It can be used for normal
Wow.
transportation and it can be
Okay.
used for evil. Yeah.
For evil as
So a lot
well.
of people
Wow.
in ancient Tartaria and under earth civilization, in the underwater civilization, they all used it. They all used it.
They all
Even in every
construct.
culture, they used it. Yeah, so this is a unique construct.
Wow.
It's a unique construct. And do you know
Wow.
that there have
Amazing.
been a lot of governments, there are a lot of governments of the world that know about this Stargate technology. And they go to all
Yes.
the places in which there are these Stargates and they take them and they keep them and they actually work on the technology and reverse engineering it to their own standards and ways. That's what God actually revealed to me. And that is
So
why how they
are using a lot of governments are using these portals to go to other realms and dimensions.
that is even what they're still doing up to this day. That is what they're still
Wow.
doing up to this day. So
Wow.
the thing about this government, the thing about this construct is that in order for them to be taken, they cannot just go, the different governments cannot just go to the location of the construct and just take it there when people are there. So how to distract the people is they'll instigate a war in that country and they'll go and they'll take the construct and they'll not take it to their secret labs and they'll work on that construct. Some of the constructs they're able to reverse engineer it, some of them they're not able to reverse engineer it, but they still keep it in secret. And that is why there's even this giant race, these Nephilims, that they're guarding that stargate, those stargates. They don't want some people to access it. In fact, all human beings, they don't want them to access it. That's why in a lot of nations of the world, this Anunnaki slash Nephilim beings, they are staying in those caves, protecting the stargates that are even near those caves. So once they see that a group of human beings, so one human individual is going near the location of the stargates, these Nephilim entities will come out and destroy that entity, that human being. So that is it, based on what God revealed to me. So any question?
Thank you so much, Ezekiel. No question. I think we've covered a lot today. And
Yeah.
I know there is more. So we are going to make
Yeah,
time for
there are a
more,
couple
but
of points.
take pardon?
I said there are a couple
Pardon,
of
Ezekiel, what did you
points
say?
up to. I said there are a couple of points that I have just yet to cover. But
There are a lot of points.
yeah,
I think we have had a lot today. There's a lot to digest, a lot
yeah,
to ponder over, a lot to go and receive on, a lot to go to Father
yeah,
with and ask for more understanding and revelation. I'm very grateful for
yeah.
and really honored once again for you to come on and share these amazing revelations that you have received with us. I would like you to pray for all of us, for everyone who is online and at home and watching, and and then we will
All
talk
right.
later about how to come back and continue the teachings. Thank you.
Okay. So, in Yeshua's name, in the mighty name of Yeshua.
Yes, Lord.
Father, Lord, we thank you for this amazing day. We thank you for even giving me all of these revelations. We thank you for all the people who are currently listening, even for those who have listened and for those who will yet listen. Thank you for everything they have done. And thank you, Father, for even mapping out all their own unique timelines and for giving them all of them, every one of them, unique God DNA sequences. Even thank you, Father, that for those who have not received their own God DNA, thank you, Father, that there's a
Yes,
specific variable that is imprinted in their timeline that is going to lead to an expression of the God DNA in your cells. Thank you, Father, that that is going to be done in Yeshua's name. And Father, Lord, I decree and declare that let there be an uprooting of any ancient evil construct that has been in the realm of any individual's life right now, especially for those who are listening to this video. In Yeshua's name, decree and declare that let there be a
yes,
removal of these evil constructs that have been buried, that have been manipulating people's life and people's timeline trajectory. Decree and declare that let these constructs, once they are removed, let them be destroyed in Yeshua's name. Let them be destroyed utterly and let their power be stripped from them. And let those the evil people who are responsible for the creation of these evil constructs, the crown declare that let all of them be destroyed. And any evil force that's been controlling the flow of miracles into every individual that's listening to this video's life, decree and declare that let that evil force, power, and level of influence on these miracles be instantaneously negated in Yeshua's name. And let all those evil
yes,
forces be destroyed to hindrance and stripped from their power in Yeshua's name. I thank you, Father, that for a specific individual's life, I just saw right now that whenever an individual come up with something, there are always people around that individual that give hostile intentions or even hostile advice and even hostile reaction to any new thing that is good for that person and good for that person's family that that person come up with. I'm just saying that there's this group that that person is in that always give this kind of hostile advice to that individual. The Lord is telling me that He has removed all those evil attackers from the environment of that individual. And
yes,
not
Lord.
just that, but it's also going to give that individual a better environment with people who have the same mindset and who want him to grow and become much more better person. That's what the Lord is telling me. And the Lord is telling me that an opportunity that has to do with traveling out and even getting other series of opportunities, the Lord is telling me that for that individual who have been wanting this kind of opportunity that is on a certain extent connected to traveling out, that that opportunity has been printed in their immediate timeline. And shortly, in the Lord's time, it's going to happen. There's going to be an expression of traveling to a desired environment. That is what the Lord is telling me. And the Lord is telling me that any person, there's a specific person that's coming from an evil household, specifically from the father's house. And the people there specifically, they're a group of old people who control the future of the young people in that village. And not just in that village, also in that town. That's what the Lord is telling me. A group of old individuals who serve idols, who control the future and all the things that are meant to happen in a person's life, specifically the young people. The Lord is telling me that He's sending massive judgment to all those evil individuals that have been manipulating the future of the young people in that village, and not just in that village, but even in that town. And not just the young people in that village, but for any young individual that comes out of that village and town and enters into any city or country. The Lord is telling me that there has been this certain influence from where the person came from, where the person hailed from. The Lord is telling me that there has been a huge disconnection of the influence of all those evil people that are in the village and town over that person's life. The Lord is telling me that the person's life is going to be filled with even much more amazing miracles. And in fact, a huge reduction in confusion. And the Lord is telling me that He's also going to reveal His purpose and His plan for the person's life on a unique scale in Yeshua's name, specifically to that individual, and not just to that individual, but to everyone that is listening to this video. In Yeshua's name.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, Father.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Wow. Ezekiel, thank you so much for
Amen.
blessing us. You are blessed and you remain
Yeah, we
blessed.
think that.
Thank you, everyone who came on and
Amen.
stayed on to the end. We honor you. We celebrate you. You are all amazing. And I'm sending you big, 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 big love hugs, all of you. Thank you for coming. The Lord be with you. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.